All right, are we live? I think we're live. Let me know in the chat. Are you hearing this? I think it should be going. How's everyone doing this fine Sunday? Nice one. Hey everyone in the chat, good to see you getting started early. Hope everyone's doing well. Let's just get into it. This is like the first time, so I did a poll a couple of months ago in the chat, in Patreon, saying what format do people prefer, and everyone kind of said that they would prefer to have more limited spaces and a bit more in-depth reviews. So we're going to give that a go. Everyone who submitted, the first 20, I said you're guaranteed to get reviewed, and then the next ones I wrote you and said that if there's time, then I'll check out your tracks, and they're all there in the order that they came. There was a couple that didn't have downloads, or the link didn't work or something like that. So if you didn't get an email, then your track probably didn't work for some reason. Or you sent it too many times, Ian. Maybe that's going to be a penalty next time. Every time you resend it, you lose one place. Okay, let's get started with Dickie Claire, the music. Can you hear that? Something a little bit different from our friend Dickie. All right, so off to a pretty solid start here. This is really cool. I would say, I mean, I don't think there's anything really to add to the track. Everything seems to work pretty well together. The mixdown is a bit, it's a bit muddy. It sounds a bit muffled, like there could be a little bit more clarity in some of the elements. This kind of like higher keys thing that comes in, sounds like a Rhodes or a Wurlitzer or something. It's cool. It sounds a little bit thin. I don't know, maybe you could like try doubling the bass note with the like an octave down or something like that, just to kind of fill it out a bit, because there's not too much going on in the melodic parts of the track. So I think there's just, you want to have those things like really solid and bold. But yeah, I think it all works pretty well. I think it's just a matter of getting the mix down right here. So yeah, not much to add really. Good stuff. Ollie Balin, you're lovin'. I remember checking this and it's way too compressed. Right, so yeah, like I said at the start, there's just way too much limiting going on the master. You can kind of see the waveform here. It just looks like a big old sausage. You can barely even see when it's playing here. You can barely even see where the breaks are and stuff. And I think like part of that is because the mixdown is not very good, to be honest. And so the The overcompression is making everything sound a little bit more balanced because the highs are getting pushed up, the lows are getting kind of pushed up. Everything's just becoming a more homogeneous volume, so it sounds kind of more balanced. But it's also like it creates like there's no depth, or it feels like really flat. So I think you need to remove all that compression, go back to the mixdown, and get the mixdown sounding really good, because the track itself, like the writing of the track, which is the important part really, is really great. Is great. You've got cool sounds in there, nice vocal, nice synths, nice melody. The arrangement seems to work well. Really odd. Is that my headphones that are not? Oh shit! I didn't have them plugged in properly. Sorry about that. Okay, thanks for hanging in there. Maybe I'll edit that out before I post this onto YouTube. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Completely my fault. What an idiot. Fuck me. Okay, this sounds way better. Yeah, okay, so I think some of the stuff that I was saying still completely stands. The low end is just not really like bouncing like I would want it to. I think because I mean you can like, so when you've got a kick that's this compressed, you know, this is so basically like what's happening to a speaker, to a like a subwoofer or something, this is saying like pushing it out, but it's not coming back. It's you want your bass to be like punchy, whereas this is just like a kind of constant signal in the low end. So yeah, this is why you need dynamics in your track. But I think okay, so especially now that I can hear the track properly, it sounds much more compelling, and I think it's just a mixed down thing, dude. Like you just really want to get this mixed down, sounding kind of the same similar balance as it has now, but with more dynamics in the mix. It's really good. I think it's one of the cooler tracks that you've sent in, Ollie. Beats and stuff. Try R-bass or something similar. No, man. Try volume. Try the most important controls that you've got for mixing is your gain. Like if you can get like 80-90% of the way to a perfect mixdown without using any plugins, just using the volume. You know, that's the most important thing you can do. Right, so I think this has a really nice vibe. Like there's definitely something cool going on here, but like the mix down, in my opinion anyway, the hats are way too low. Like when I'm using this EQ here to just bring up the volume a bit, it's starting to sound a bit more in the realms of what I think is kind of like a better mix, but that's quite a lot. You would never want that to be done on a master on your EQ. So you're better off to go back to the mix and change the individual hats and stuff to get it sounding a bit more well balanced. You're going to get so much more energy out of the track when you've got brighter hats in it. So get some references, and if you want to understand a bit more about how to do this, search on my channel for one of the videos on referencing with span. Now the next thing I think is like, so you've got I think you've got a really cool groove and a really cool vibe here. But for me, I don't really feel like there's anything compelling to the track that's going to make it memorable. Like there's not like a melody or something, or a vocal or something that to get stuck in my head. It's kind of just a cool groove. There are tracks that can live from that, but then you really need to work the arrangement. And I think the arrangement is not doing the heavy lifting here. This bit at the start that you've got, like, what is that? Minute and a half intro. Like, it's nice enough. It sounds cool. But it's like, it's not really that functional. And like if I was going to play this track in a DJ set, I would probably start mixing it in from here. Because like if I was going to play it from the start, it would be as like maybe an intro or something when I start my set. But in order for that to work, then this needs to be killer, because you're creating so much. You like, if you were to play this as an intro to a DJ set, you'd create so much tension that this needs to really like slam, and I don't think it's going to fulfill that need. So I think, yeah, really going back to the drawing board on the arrangement, and I just find some references. If you aren't sure about how to go about arranging a track in a kind of compelling way, then find out how people with more experience do it. But there's definitely a cool vibe to that track. I think you've definitely got something going on there. If you can get a hook into it, and a hook doesn't have to be like anything crazy, just something memorable that makes it stand out. And then get an arrangement where you kind of create ebbs and flows with the energy, create tension and release. So here's kind of an example of something that I was talking about in the last track where it needs a hook. Like, this is not a complicated kind of musical theme. This like it's almost like a dub techno kind of chord stab, but it's got movement, it's got automation, and it stands out from the track. You know, there's interplay between a couple of the elements, and it gives the track, although it, like I said, it's not complicated, it has a memorable kind of theme to it. Really solid stuff. It's there could be a few moments where you kind of change up the dynamics a little bit with the, like, just basically having a section where maybe it goes down to just the kick and the bass. I think there is one part here, right here. So this bit here, we break it right down, but you've still got like the bass going, so it's still got something to kind of groove to. This is not too long, but it creates a good amount of tension and then drops back. But yeah, just like a bit where you kind of filter everything out. I don't know, something like that. Just a bit more movement in the arrangement could be interesting, but really solid groover here. I'm not sure, maybe the highs could be a bit brighter, but when I was EQing it, it felt like yeah, maybe just a touch, like a few dB on the hats. I think I used to mix my hats really low, and I know now that, and I learned this from referencing to other people's tracks, that I need to pump my hats up a little bit, and I do, and it makes a big difference in terms of like the energy and how kind of, I guess it helps to, especially a lot of tracks tend to have like a big kick and quite a lot of bass, and you can kind of compensate for that by having brighter hats as well. But yeah, very nice track, nice kind of simple theme, good sound design. Yeah, well done. So I can already I can already tell by looking at this waveform that this mix needs some serious attention. In a house or techno track, your kick is going to be the driving force of the track. You want it to be generally the loudest element in the track, or it's not going to stand up to other tracks, basically, in a DJ set. This is DJ music that we're making here, folks. I assume that most of the people who are sending stuff into the stream or making this music want it to be played in clubs, and no one's going to play it if it sounds out of place between the track before it and the track after it, and if your kick is like really weak or really quiet, it's just not gonna stand up. And in order to get this kick to be like full frequency, so for the waveform to, if I go like this, and then for the waveform of the track to look like this, like a mastered track, all of this stuff, all of these peaks here are going to get completely crushed, and all the dynamics are going to be gone from the track. So it's really important to mix hierarchically and make sure that you've got the right things that are basically creating a solid foundation of the track. You want your kick, start with your kick, get your kick to the right volume, and then bring everything else in around it. This has got really, really cool sound design. I really like some of the elements, but like it's just doesn't have the drive that it needs from the mix, basically. I agree, Anthony, which is not a bad thing. It's stuff like early infusion stuff. Yeah, man, the track is really, really cool. I agree with all the comments about it sounding like some kind of early 2000s progressive stuff. But I think the sound design is a bit more modern, but it's definitely got that vibe. Yeah, like I said, infusion, quiver, yeah, that kind of thing. Dos, maybe. Yeah, if you want me to mix it for you, then get in touch. I can do that for you. I can do a mix down for you. Because I think it's all there. It's a matter of like presenting it in the right way. I did feel like maybe the drop wasn't quite hitting hard enough, but then again, like if everything's mixed properly, it probably would. Yeah, really good. I mean, I know I'm kind of just telling everyone they've got shitty mixdowns, but that's honestly, that's a great place to be in, because as a mixdown is like a kind of like a technical aspect. So if you've got like, if your track's well written and like engaging and compelling like that is, then that's a great place to be. You can always get a you can always get a track mixed by someone else with more experience than you, but you should always try to, the struggle, the focus should be in trying to say something with your music, trying to connect with people, trying to engage with them, trying to communicate. That's what music's about. Okay, Anthony Hutley and Prexis. I think very few people are ever going to get that. Okay, I think that big like melodic house lead thing created way too much tension for this drop. Like I expected it to drop into something like what's his name? Stan Kolev does. He has these some more like kind of big peak time progressive, almost techno tracks. I expected the drop to be something like that based on what this lead was signaling to me. Much more techno, much more electro, and then it dropped to be quite deep. Yeah, I think that from, let's see what happens in the break, but I think from what I'm getting, that lead's just kind of wrong for the track. It's competing with the vocal as well. They're kind of like fighting for space, fighting for attention. Also, with something like that, I think it would be cool to have something that you like to bring something in that plays off it with a kind of call and response type of thing. Doesn't have to be anything crazy, but then it just kind of, when you do that, you put two simple kind of repetitive things together, and it makes something bigger than the sum of its parts. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say I think there's 2 tracks going on here. So it's kind of like one of these things where it seems like you've collaborated on the track and you've both kind of put in your bits, and then like part of this can quite easily happen on collaborations where like you maybe have different visions on what you want the track to be, or people don't want to let go of the things that they've contributed. But I feel like there's 2 different tracks here. Like there's 2. One is like a kind of deep rolling progressive track with this amazing vocal, which I think is the most compelling part of this track. And then the other is a more peak time progressive thing with this kind of lead sound as the main element. I think it's just kind of conflicting the way it is. There's also, so if you want me to give you, I'll give you some more feedback on the kind of the production and stuff, or the arrangement. So this here builds up really cool, but then I think this kind of section is way too long, basically. Like. Like it's like again, it's like I said at the start, where it was creating too much tension and not enough release. It's like you create all this tension here, which can be really cool to then like let it like kind of do what it's doing here and have all this space, but then you need to deliver. And this is just kind of maintaining that like sense of tension to the point where if I was on the dance floor, I'd be like, boring. And then by the time once you've lost that engagement, then you don't get that reward from the drop. But what you do really well on this kind of build up to the drop is with that bit where you just play the vocal all by itself is great. This, I think there's a little bit too much silence, like you want a little bit of reverb tail to carry on to the vocal, I think. Like it almost sounds like there's an audio stem there that's just been chopped. But yeah, I mean, for me, I think the vocal has, I don't know, like I'm trying to think of who, an artist, like, I don't know, if it was like, I don't know, like a Jamie Stevens kind of track or something with that, like Jamie Stevens production with that vocal, I'd be all over that. I'd be playing that constantly. Yeah. So there's some I don't know. I think you want to go back to the drawing board a little bit on it. But it's you've got the most important thing, which in my opinion anyway, which is like a hook, a main element to base the track around. It's not your track if it doesn't have your name on it, Ian. I really like these chords that you've brought in here. They're really nice. Okay, so there's a few bits of advice I can give on this one. I think you bring everything in quite a bit too soon. Like, you've got, like, by 30 seconds, you've already dropped in like pretty much most of the drums, the bass line, the main kind of lead arpeggio kind of element, right? So you kind of like it ramps up so quickly from the start to here. Let's color that green, right? Then, like, let's say the break is red, where you want the kind of, I guess it's like the chorus of an electronic track, right? And then this is then maybe here we could say the energy starts increasing a bit, right? So this isn't even. You've got this section here which is just too long. There's just too much of it with nothing changing, right? And you can address that by just bringing elements in more gradually. If arrangement is tough for you, then reference. You just gotta reference, guys. It's like there's, you don't have to copy someone's track, but you can literally just drag in a track of someone that you like that's in a similar style and just go, okay, where do they bring their bass in? And Ian, I know you're a DJ. You play tracks. You know, you DJ often, so you know that when you're mixing in a track that it's much more likely that the bass is going to come in at 1 minute than at 30 seconds. And that's how people are going to be used to mixing it. That's what kind of works well, especially for this kind of music, where people are going to do kind of longer mixes, you know. So you could like bring in a few less of the drums, create like a bit more of a extended intro, drop in the bass here, then gradually bring in this lead, bring in the drums in a little bit, instead of like bringing them all in at once, bring them in a bit more gradually, like add layers in as it's going along. You can also like have some little bits where you take out 1 or 2 kicks and have a crash or a little fill or something like that. You've also got some cool other elements in the track, like these chords that come in after here, which are great. Yeah. So like you could be using those in this first half of the track without this like arpeggio lead kind of thing in, just using those chords, creating automation with them, like extending them out, opening the filter, bringing them back. Then you could create like a little mini breakdown here where you use those chords to build up tension, and then you switch it, take them away, bring in the lead, right? Then you go through the break, you create more tension, and then you bring them back here, and it's going to be very like satisfying for the listener because you've introduced an element, then taken it away. So when it comes back, it sounds familiar and interesting. So yeah, there's definitely some things that can be improved with the arrangement. But in general, I think the track is really cool. And also like kind of knowing where you've come from, it's great to see the progression in what you're doing. When did we stop doing intros, guys? When did we stop doing like DJ intros?
Is always open, and you are always welcome.
So this is really cool, but all the stuff that I just said to Ian about his track, about the intro and stuff, it applies to this as well. Like there's no reason why the bass needs to come in after like 30 seconds, especially. You've kind of brought in vocals and all sorts of stuff here. Like, I assume you want DJs to play your track, right? Would you be? I'm not sure who is the inspiration or who I should kind of connect this to, but like whoever is like your most inspirational DJ or producer, I'm sure you'd love for them to play your track, right? And so you kind of want to make it DJ friendly. Let me Okay. Come on. Okay, so here's a track of mine. Is this, yeah, that's the extended mix, right? So there's stuff going on, right? But it's very simple. So I'm introducing things more here because this is going to be like the point where like the DJ is kind of changing over the tracks, right? So you don't want this to be completely just a loop and boring, although sometimes you can get away with that, but it's just really not that important. But it is important to kind of give space for someone to mix your track in, right? And then you can see as I go, as we go along the track, I'm adding more and more things. It's getting more and more full. It's still based on the same kind of simple groove, but it has this kind of progression in it where it feels like it's progressing, it's building, right? So I think it's really important to just keep that in mind, right? That is a drop. Can't read that. Okay. Anyway, back to your track. Sorry about the interlude there. Again, quite low hats on this one. Got a lot of bass in this one, so I think you need some brightness to compensate, right? Spotify don't ask for a set amount of lifts, buddy. So this is massively misunderstood, and there is so much misinformation about it on the internet. It's not funny. Do not master your tracks to minus 14 LUFS. That is ridiculous for a house and techno track. So basically, like, Spotify want to create a seamless listening experience. So they set a loudness that they're going to kind of balance everything to, because they don't want one track to be really loud and the next track to be really quiet. So they've decided that 14 LUFS is what they're going to do, how they're going to do that, right? So I will master my tracks to normally around minus 8 LUFS. On Spotify will then turn that down to be minus 14 LUFS. And there's this massive misconception that I'm somehow being penalized by that. It's not. It's just, by having that amount of compression, I'm controlling the dynamics of the track and having it sound the way I want it to sound. And then Spotify is lowering the volume so that it doesn't sound louder than the track before, which is fine. The worst thing you can do is not put enough compression on your track, and then Spotify is adding compression to bring your track louder. That is bad, okay? But just compress your track so that it is compressed the way you want it to sound, so that it's limited to the point where it sounds the same as other tracks in a similar style, and then don't worry about Spotify. Okay, end of that rant. Luca, I'm sorry that that happened in the middle of your track, but I think it's really important that people understand that.
House music.
Vocal, like, again, this has got way too much limiting on it, I believe. Yeah. Did I turn it down? Only a little bit. It's so okay. So I think it's just a balance then. That vocal just like
House music has many different back.
it's just like offensively loud, you know. I mean, and I think it can be difficult to get that perspective when you're working on a track and working on it. So it's always really helpful to not listen to your track for a week or two. Come back, listen through to it, write some notes down, and you'll probably, things like that will jump out to you. You'll be listening through from the start, not in Ableton, just like upload it to SoundCloud or something. That's really handy because you can make little timed comments as you go along and listen to it. But yeah, so that vocal's just way too loud. It just jumps out of the track.
The door to our house is always open, and you are always welcome.
Ania, it's not changing. If I upload a track to Spotify and they turn the volume down, you're still hearing it how it was mastered. It's just they've just literally turned the volume down. It's like me going like this to this track. It still sounds exactly the same. It's just lowering the volume. I'm literally doing what Spotify are doing here in this stream. This track was louder than. I'm basically doing what Spotify does, except to -9 LUFS. And then you'll see on some of these other tracks, this one, I think, I've added limiting to bring it up to a comparative loudness because I don't want things to be jumping out of the stream, right? So you don't need to turn that setting off. You're going to get a better user experience with the setting on, because otherwise shit's going to sound really loud or really quiet. It's a good thing that Spotify are doing, and it's not to anyone's detriment. Okay, so this track is really cool. I think just it's a bit linear. Like you're kind of bringing in a ride here, but it's not going anywhere. And there's not really I think you just need to work a little bit on the arrangement and the mix a little bit. Just make sure things are sounding a little bit more balanced. Stuff's not jumping out like this. Like I said, you could probably use a bit more brightness. But the sound design's cool, the theme of the track is cool. I think you're onto a winner. And sorry for all the twists and turns there. Getting off topic. Alright, sorry, there's a fly in my studio. I was trying for 20 minutes to get it out of here before the stream started, but here we are. So you can literally start a track like this. This is not a bad way to start a track. You can mix this in to a track that's already playing really easily. There's lots of space for it to come in. I think those white noise build-ups are a bit over the top for that time in the track, and they're just a bit loud in general. I think you want to kind of bring them down in volume a little bit, have them a bit more subtle. especially for the style that the track seems to be. Vocals a bit loud, I think. A lot loud, I think. Vocals really loud, man.
Jeg ruller opp noen små og ferdig pakka nå.
I think there's space for like a not long 909 kind of open, just a short open hat. I guess that sounds kind of contradictory, but like a short open hat in here is going to give it a bit more drive and a bit more brightness. Really cool, fun vibe on this. Yeah, really, like, I can just imagine people like in a club or a festival or something dancing and like the dance floor having a really good time. But yeah, like I said, I think if you add an open hat, it's going to give it a bit more energy. Maybe some like, it sounds like you've got some shakers or tambourines or something in there. Maybe bring them up a little bit in the back. Vocals way too loud. And the effect sounds are way too loud. Like it brings this real kind of I don't know. It makes stuff sound either outdated or kind of amateur, or kind of both. I don't mean to. I don't mean any offense by that, but you kind of want that stuff to be a bit more subtle, a bit more subliminal. You want that stuff to like gently guide people, rather than like be too in your face, especially in a track like this. You know, it's not like some kind of peak time techno kind of thing. It's like a cool groovy house track with a kind of like reggae ska vibe. I don't know, I like it, it's cool. But so those are some things that I think could be improved. Randall, I can't remember what your email said, but I think it was something like you had been overthinking it or something like that. Let's have a listen. Okay, Randall, all the same stuff that I said about the last few tracks, about the intro and that kind of thing, it applies here as well. Give things some space to like breathe, and like, you know, you don't need to introduce a new sound every like 10 seconds. Just let the sounds have their time to kind of, I don't know, ruminate in the track. And then once that sound gets a bit boring, then bring something else in, you know, and then you kind of get this gradual build in the track. Because what you end up with, if you bring everything in too early, you then end up with everything in the track, which then becomes stale because you're not kind of changing things up throughout the track. Or then you start to think to yourself, oh, I need to, what do I need to add here? I need to add more things so that I can, so that because it's too boring or something like that. So a lot of that has just got to do with arrangement and not adding things in too quickly. Okay, I think the processing on the vocal is for the track, for what's in the track, like yeah, just kind of creating, it's like the stuff that's already in the track and the kind of muddiness of the vocal is just, they're fighting for space. So I think the processing that you've done on the vocal is not right for the track. I think you want to lift the vocal out from the other stuff and kind of create separation, rather than the processing that you're doing is kind of burying it further into the track. So you can hear there that horn that's come in and that vocal are basically like right in the exact same right in the exact same part of the frequency spectrum and playing at the same time. So they're just like muddying each other, and then the vocal is quieter, so it's losing that battle. But the track overall has a cool vibe. It's like nice, fun kind of feeling. Yeah, I think I think the vocal should be mixed differently, so it kind of creates a bit more separation. The track's gonna just feel more balanced if that vocal is a little bit more airy, because like most of the stuff in the track is quite like mid-rangey. I think you probably want to avoid having the brass sounds. I think, is there a saxophone and those horns? Yeah. Yeah. So I would avoid having those like brass sounds and the vocal playing at the same time, because there's no space for them. They're competing elements basically. I think so. I don't worry about trying to layer them so to add more to the vocal so that it stands out more. Like, especially while the saxophone or whatever it is playing, have them playing at different times in the track. So one is kind of like the focus at one point of the track, and then the vocal is the focus at another point of the track. Yeah. And then I think, the arrangement here is like it's kind of it doesn't it's again it's quite linear. Like it doesn't really build up in a meaningful kind of way that takes me to a crescendo of the track and then gives me some kind of like release. I think you probably want to extend it out, give everything a little bit more space. You've got plenty of elements in there. Just give them room to breathe, basically. Okay, Mr. Unknown Vibes. I think I've heard this one before. This is maybe with some changes. I believe that last time I heard this track, I told you that you needed to change the bass line or the bass sound. And I think this one is sounding much better already. I think you could have the bass a little bit more closed though. It seems to always, like the filter's just a little bit too open. So I would close the filter a little bit more, and then when you open it up, it's going to create a bit more excitement. But you're not going to have to have it as far open, because I feel like if you open it too far, it's not going to sound too great. I could be wrong, but let's see. I think you could almost take the bass line out here, maybe just keep thinning it out so that this vocal bit here plays alone. Yeah, I think like take the bass out in this section here and bring it back in. And like I said, yeah, bring the cutoff down on the bass a little bit more. This is going to create more dynamics between when you open it and the break. It didn't go too open, in my opinion. Yeah, man, really cool. Like I said last time I heard it, I think this is one of your best tracks. So I think there's still a little bit more that can be squeezed out of it with the bass line there, and like just just those little touches, creating a little bit more tension there. Just kind of going through it with a little fine tooth comb and going, all right, how can I just create slightly more drama here, and it's not with like adding things and stuff. It's just like it's more like taking things away in the right places and that kind of thing. But yeah, super solid track. I think this is going to be a big track for you, man. Okay, so if you look at the EQ here, I can already see that there's a lot of low end, unnecessary low end. Whoa, okay. Okay, so your bass line here is like at least 1 octave too low. So this area where you've got your bass line playing is basically not going to be represented by any sound systems. It just makes your track sound completely muddy, like there's no definition in the low end, right? Because there's all that really, really low sub frequency is like energy, but it's got too much energy in the low end. Like I was saying earlier about the cone on a subwoofer needs time to contract and expand. And when you've got a bass like this, it's just, while you've got so much energy in that low frequency area, it's like it's too much, so it can't produce that amount of energy, so your track sounds like it lacks energy and lacks definition. The moment that you think you moved on, I'll appear and then... And it kind of like there's a thing where if you've got your elements are too like I was saying about Randall's track, there was the horns and the vocal were competing for space. Here you've got like a different problem where like the bass is so low and so far away from the vocal that it sounds like they're kind of almost too separated, like there's not enough overlap that makes the track sound like one kind of synchronized, I don't know, well, like one thing. It sounds like everything's too separated. The vocal's really, really loud.
Want me? I know that you need me. Want me? I know that you need me.
Way too much reverb on the vocal. I mean, yeah, I think you just need to grab some reference tracks and try and work a bit closer to something that is maybe something that you would aspire to get your tracks to be like. It's got some cool vocals and stuff in there. Yeah, maybe take the vocal and give it rethink it with some different ideas. Like check out some reference tracks and think about how you can use some different elements to kind of present the vocal in a different way.
What's that thing called when you meet somebody and you feel a place right here, right now? You know, it's like when you were at work and you said to yourself, you know, I'm gonna have a good time tonight. I'm gonna go out. So you put on your favorite shoes or you put on your favorite jeans, but you don't care because you can hear the thump 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 outside those doors. And you get that feeling all over again, and you get that chill up your spine because the DJ's playing your favorite songs back to back, and you're not in yet, but soon you know you're gonna be. Oh, man.
You're going to bring an open hat, right?
What's that feeling called when finally you're in and you're standing in the middle of the floor and you open your arms real wide to accept those vibes, all those positive vibes, and your family's there, and all those people that.
Okay. You know, you doesn't have to be that open hat. It can be any open hat, but that's house music. You know, you're missing that.
Oh man, what's that feeling called again? What's that feeling called?
So without that, the whole track kind of sounds like a breakdown.
That moment in time, you did some twisting, some turn.
The vocal's a bit loud, but I mean, it's a cool vocal. It sounds like it's Roland Clark or something. Some nice layering with the bass line.
Because it spreads around. There's no remedy, there's no pill you can pop.
Yeah, and the outro could use some work. It's just a bit weird. You've got like a bunch of little breakdowns in very quick succession. Vocal's pretty loud. Sounds like it's a Roland Clark vocal. Or at least it sounds like it's an a cappella from another vocal. I could be wrong. Maybe it's your vocal or you've recorded it with someone. If so, cool. If not, I think it's a bit over the top sampling. You're probably gonna run into issues in terms of like copyright. Try to get an original vocal or something for it. And if you're going to sample things, then just take a snippet of a vocal of something and use it in an interesting way. Fuck, sorry, that's my fault. I've got two tracks playing at the same time. I apologize. I think you don't need to bring this bass line in from the start. I think you could bring it in here, or if you wanted to, you could just like low cut it. Then maybe have the volume automate, like lower the volume and then automate the volume in, just to help like the track create some movement. Some nice like details with the fills and stuff. Really cool. I think it might be cool in the break to, like, you've kind of, feels like you've added in a break beat or something here. It could be cool to have a bit more space, especially in this like main break. You know, if I grab a, who could I use as a reference here? Okay, so here's a track by Josh Baker. It's a bit different, but maybe it's in a similar enough style to what you want to go for. Right, but my point is, like, you know, in the break, he brings out a lot more stuff. And then kind of like, so there's just more dynamics, right? There's some more interesting stuff going on. He's brought in some things in the break, taken out some more of the drums, given it a bit more space. So like you're bringing in that break beat, which is cool. It's a nice, interesting addition. But I think you could have a section where you don't have any drums or something, and you've got something a bit more kind of interesting and dynamic going on that switches up the track a little bit. Like it's kind of just a big long version of the first break. So you're doing the same thing 3 times, and this time it's just like extra long. So I think you want to try and create something unique in each of these sections, right? So you've got a nice like foundation to your track, but it feels like the whole track is basically the same. Yeah, I think you need like a little bit more differentiation and change in the arrangement, and then do something a little bit more special in here, because you've got a really solid foundation for the track. It just needs a bit more going on. Nando, this is a real vibe, mate. This is like, yeah, I've heard quite a few tracks from you, and this is like a whole nother level. Really good.
Fill my heart with
The vocal sounds a little bit weird, like it's playing too slow for what it should be. You might want to look at the warping of that. Like, could be, yeah, there could be something going on there.
Let your spirit flow through my soul. Your embrace, I am made whole. Shine on me, shine on me.
Yeah, man, this is fantastic. A whole nother level. Really, really well done. I think the only thing that this definitely feels like there's something going on with that vocal. Just feels a little bit unnatural. If it's not, like maybe it's maybe I don't know, maybe it's like from a drum and bass track or something, I don't know, and it's been slowed right down.
Fill my heart with your holy breeze. Let your spirit flow through my soul.
Yeah, because I can hear like that kind of cracking. Yeah, like you can, it's like this kind of warpy algorithmic kind of crackling that it has. Try and figure out what's going on with the vocal and sort that out, because this is a really, really good track, mate. Well done. Other than that, I don't really have anything to suggest, because that sounds phenomenal. Okay, if I remember correctly, this has a vocal in it, and you can't use the vocal, and you asked me for a suggestion of another vocal, but something like that. Anyway, let's have a listen. So this lead sound that you've got here is really loud. You can see it in the spectrum. It's like poking out really, really. It's a very resonant sound as well. So see, when I pull that down, obviously it takes away some of the mid-range of the track, which makes the track feel less kind of powerful and full, but that sound specifically fits into the track better, I think. It's probably, I would say it's even as much as 5 to 7 dBs too loud for the track.
So I want it. I got you this time. I ain't letting go this time.
So I don't often say, oh, you need to like change a hi-hat or something to in any of these tracks, but you've got this hat that's playing like a pedal rhythm, which is like on the downbeat then the offbeat, so and it sounds like it's not gelling with the other hats for some reason. it's kind of like I think having that kind of hat works well. It gives it this kind of like organic, or like real drum kind of disco kind of sound, disco kind of drum sound. But I think just the particular sample that you've used or something is not really gelling with the rest of the hats. So I would just maybe try switching that out.
I can give you up, but I want to.
Or maybe it's this open hat on the upbeat. Yeah, I don't know. There's something funny going on with your open hats here.
I got you this time. I ain't letting go this time. This time.
Right, but I can see why you the track has a really cool vibe. There's kind of been a theme for the whole stream. There's some really cool vibes going on. This has got great vibes. So I don't know what you're going to do about that. Find a vocalist and hope that they can come up with something that's got a similar that can match the vibe. You could try contacting one of these like resing companies. I can't remember the name. There's one in London, Glasgow Underground use them all the time. It's called something like completely obvious, like London Resing Company or something like that. Something very literal, but whoever it is, they do a great job. Or you could check out soundbetter.com as well. It's a great place to find like very professional vocalists to have those vocals resung, because it is the vibe of the track. It's really good. I think it's worth pursuing and maybe doing it as a cover. But yeah, good stuff.
I need some. Give me that money. I need some. I need some. I need some. I need some. I need some medication.
Really solid tune. If there's one thing I think I could suggest is like having another sound in there that's doing like some kind of call and response with the bass line or some synths or something like that. That's a little bit more like everything, all the melodic stuff that you've got in there is you've got a lot of delay on things, and then you've got these like vocal chops that have got delay on them. Everything's got a lot of delay, so it's kind of, I think having something that's a little bit more staccato and playing a bit more of a distinct pattern could really help to create some contrast and offset that a bit. But other than that, really good. You've got nice like nice kind of dynamics where you change things up in the breaks. Yeah, good. The vocals got like a really nice catchy vibe to it. Okay, Percussive Tech House 2.8 mixed. So I don't mean any offense by this, but what this sounds like to me is that you've taken like one or multiple like Toolroom sample packs and put a bunch of loops on top of each other. That may not be what you've done, but that's kind of what it sounds like. There's like lots of drum stuff happening out of time. Is very muddy, like lots of things happening over the top of each other. You've got like these horns and this vocal playing at the same time. They're fighting for space, fighting for attention. You've got these big drum fills which are just way too loud. There's not really a lot of dynamics. The kick's huge, the bass is huge, the drums are huge, and when everything's huge, then nothing sounds huge. So if you want to have you want things to like create contrast and like, so like for example, to have this fill sound massive, what I would do is bring it down to a more acceptable volume where it's not just like jumping out of the track and going to be slamming the limiter or something, and then give it space, remove elements, have it play alone with some reverb on it, so it's just got super impact. That's all you hear, and then it's going to sound absolutely massive, and then you drop back to the kick, and then that can sound massive. You know, it's this kind of like piling things on things. It doesn't. Tracks need space to exist, and like layering, like adding lots of different like layers of percussion and stuff. It needs to be done quite thoughtfully. I guess it comes with practice, like just training your ear to hear what works well with what. But basically, you don't want, like, there's the kind of the rhythm in the track. It's kind of chaotic. There's not like a kind of groove that is grabbing me. The bass and the drums aren't like interplaying together. And that's why I said it sounds like you've taken a whole bunch of loops and just thrown them together. Because something that happens when you do that is that they're not really working. They can quite often not really work well together. They're not complementing each other. They're just existing simultaneously but independently. So to basically to improve that, I would recommend like starting with a solid foundation, kick, clap, bass line, main open hi-hat, and then kind of bring your percussion and stuff in to support that. Give things space so that they can sound big. Make a kind of consistent groove. Basically, you probably want to have the bass line, or you got two options. You could bring in a percussion loop that you like the groove of, and then play a bass line to follow that groove. Or you could, it's going to be harder to basically to play a bass line and then find a loop because this sounds like a lot of loops, and then find a loop that follows the groove. That's harder to do. You can try and play percussion to follow the groove of the bass line, but in this case I would say find some percussion you like and then play your own bass line to follow it. Just to answer the question from Mr. Brown here, could you not quantize the loops to a swing groove? So yeah, like a swing quantization is one part of groove, but more like having everything playing at the same time doesn't create groove. You want groove is about rhythm, is about like dynamics, about a feeling. So if things aren't like working together to accentuate the same rhythm and groove, even if they're playing at the same timing, they can still be fighting against each other rhythmically. Yeah. So this is really cool. I really like the vibe on this. I feel like there's so with the melodic elements that you've got playing, they're all in the same kind of frequency area. It doesn't sound like muddy or anything. But they're all happening in the same place, right? So then if I go like here, I think it's just going to be the hi-hats and stuff pretty much. So this here, this area here is basically where like the kind of personality of your track lives. This is where vocals and pianos and stuff like that live. Did I still have my track there? Let me see if hopefully this maybe mine doesn't have it, but so there's a bit more identifiable kind of stuff going on in that same part of the frequency spectrum. Going back to yours. So I think that there's room for something here, for like a basically, it doesn't have to be something complicated, just like some kind of call and response type thing with the melodic elements that you've already got. And I think that's going to really like add a lot of value to the track. Other than that, I think just doing something simple like that, it doesn't have to be like something that plays all the time. It could be like once every 2 bars or 4 bars, just some little motif, like a couple of little plucks or something like that. A little vocal shot. I don't know. It's your track. But having something in that area of the frequency spectrum that's working together with the other elements, I think is going to just really fill it out. So this is really solid. Great job, guys. My buddies from Auckland. So I feel like there is something to be added here. I'm not quite sure what it is, but I think there's some kind of maybe melodic rhythmic thing, just like basically similar to what I said in the last track, like something that sits up in this kind of area of the frequency spectrum, kind of short stabby thing. I think there's room for something a little bit more. Everything that you've got there is really compelling and works really well. I like the vocal, I like the groove, the bass line's really solid. Just some kind of short lead element, like something that you could try is like, let's see, what okay, what I'm going to do is let's check out the next track. I'm going to come back to you and I'm going to try something for you. Really nice, Adria. A bit more deep house from you this time. It's been kind of a bit more on the melodic Afro stuff, if I remember correctly, the last few months. It's always a great idea to do something like this where you take away everything and let one element just shine, you know? it's nice to have the switch up, but I feel like this part doesn't work as rhythmically. But overall, really nice track, man. Well done. Cool to hear a different side of the things you've been doing. I feel like here, it could just be like the amount of compression, or no. I feel like maybe it's like these textures and stuff. You've got there's quite a few delayed elements, and then you've got this kind of glitchy texture layer, and like 16th hats and stuff like that. It feels quite full. I think it might just be if you brought down those kind of those like texture kind of layers in the background, just so they're a little bit more subtle. I think that could help to give everything a bit more space. Yeah, it sounds like some kind of, like you've got tantra on something, and it's kind of creating this like glitchy movement texture. So that's pretty much all I could suggest. That, and like maybe I'm not sure if the saxophone works in this bit here as well, but maybe it doesn't matter. I don't know. I just felt a little bit off when it came back in. I'm gonna that fly. Maybe you could try muting that like 16th hat. Maybe it's going to give a little bit more space. I don't know. Does it happen there? Yeah, it feels like there's kind of like a little, the track's a little bit full, and it could be the mix, or it could be like there's one or two small elements that could be turned off or turned down, just to make it feel a little bit more open. But this is like really subtle changes. So I'm going to go back to this and let's warp it. What key are we playing? Okay, let's go here. Let's go this. Looks like you're in E minor. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. it's, I'm just trying some random stuff here, but I don't know, something to sit in that kind of part of the frequency spectrum, I think, could work. Another thing that you could try is like, let's get another diva here. Let's try a preset. Like, second up, yeah. Something in that kind of area. I don't know, something, there's space for something there that could be quite interesting. It could be that you play like a chord or something. I don't know. I'm just messing around here now, but yeah, I think there's space for something there. So that is going to conclude today's track feedback. You know what? I'm feeling generous. Let's do one more, and then we'll get out of here. Who was next? 21 Kaiser. This is a short one. I feel like the stabs that you've got here, they feel a bit too dry, or a bit, I don't know, maybe it's the sound. It's just not really, I don't know. Whereas maybe they're too mono, maybe a bit of chorus or something like that. They just feel like a bit too what am I doing? I was looking at the wrong waveform. They feel like a bit too I don't know, too like in front, or too, maybe it's just that I don't like the sound of them. I think they're cool, but I don't know, something about them that's not quite right for me. Maybe it's the way they interact with the bass line or something. Like you've got a really cool bass line. Just trying to see if there's a bit where it plays. Just yeah, I'm just not a fan of these chord stabs. I feel like they're kind of doing too much, making the track feel a bit chaotic. Everything else is quite well balanced. It just, maybe if they were just doing a little bit less, playing maybe the first part of the pattern or the last part of the pattern, but not the full kind of thing, just relentlessly. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. It could just be a taste thing. I don't know, because it's not like something that's like where I can say like that's completely wrong, or you should take that out, it doesn't sound right. There's something, it might just be it's not for me, because it doesn't sound like, the track sounds really well made, well constructed, all the sounds are kind of in the right place. It just feels a bit chaotic with those chord stabs. I don't know. Okay, what's the bass line doing? Right, I can hear the bass. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. It could just be the track's not for me necessarily, because there's nothing like I can say that it's well balanced. It's well written, very cool bass line, I think. Well, don't try switching them if you don't want to. I don't think that they. Yeah, it's not, like I said, it's not something that I'm like where I can be like, that's definitely wrong. It's just maybe a wrong for me. Otherwise, really cool track. Anyway, I guess that is going to conclude things. Thanks everyone for sending in your tracks. I guess we can have a discussion in Patreon about whether or not that's a better format, or if we want to try and do more tracks in a session. It's maybe I'll do another poll or something like that, and we can make a decision. Anyway, I'll put this up on YouTube. It's probably going to be, I'm going to edit out that bit where I was screwing around at the start with my audio interface because I didn't have my headphones plugged in properly. So sorry about that. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. We will catch you soon.